Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Dinah Surh. I am so glad to celebrate Sun River Health and its partners' tremendous efforts to improve the total health and well-being of patients, employees, and communities. As someone who has worked in community health for a long time, I have seen firsthand how critical it is to have access to high quality and affordable health care to reduce health disparities. I am so happy to partner with Sun River Health for cornucopia. Your support is so important for our neighbors who rely on Sun River Health for their care. Thank you for joining us. Today, I will be making japchae, which is a healthy, gluten-free Korean noodle dish made with sweet potato noodles, locally sourced mixed vegetables, and beef. So let's get started by making the sauce. In a bowl, I'm going to pour 4 tablespoons of tamari, which is a gluten-free soy sauce, or you could use regular soy sauce. I like the Kiko Man brand. 2 tablespoons of roasted sesame seed oil. This smells so aromatic, I think you're going to love using this ingredient. Some sugar, 2 minced garlic cloves, some roasted sesame seeds for a little crunch and aroma, and a little bit of ground black pepper. Let's mix this all up to make our sauce. It smells so good already. Here I have some beef that we're going to marinate, about a cup of shaved beef that you could buy pre-sliced at your favorite supermarket, or you could slice half a pound of prime rib, sirloin, or flank steak and cut it into thin strips. If you don't like beef, you could just omit it from the recipe and add more vegetables. I'm going to take about 3 tablespoons of this sauce and marinate the beef. We'll let that sit while we prepare the other ingredients. Next, I have 3 to 4 shiitake mushrooms that I've sliced. It's about a cup, or you could use regular button mushrooms or rehydrate some Chinese mushrooms in water. I'm going to add a tablespoon or 2 of the sauce to the mushrooms as well and let them marinate. While these items are marinating, I'm going to preheat my fry pan on high heat. Let me show you these sweet potato starch noodles. I like to use these noodles because they're gluten-free, they're easy to cook, and you could kind of combine them with any types of vegetables you want that your family enjoys. I boiled a large pot of water and cooked them for 5 to 7 minutes, or to follow the instructions that's on the package of the brand of noodles that you purchase. Then I drain the noodles, I rinse them in some cold water and put them in a bowl. I have some I prepared already right here. Now, these noodles are super long. They're about 2 feet. So I'm going to take some clean scissors and cut them into 6 to 8 inch pieces. That way it'll be easier to eat and also mix our ingredients later. I'm going to set that aside. We're going to come back to this. Now, let's cut some scallions. I have about 2 or 3 scallions that I'm going to cut lengthwise that have been cleaned with the stems removed. And I'm going to cut them in around 2 inch pieces lengthwise. I like to cut them on an angle because I think it's prettier. You want your food to be colorful, fragrant, and visually appealing because people eat with their eyes first. So here I have the scallions chopped. We're going to put them in a bowl and we'll come back to this later as well. So here we go. I also made a couple of egg omelets, egg crepes if you will. I beat up a couple of eggs and I cooked them flat in a fry pan with a drizzle of roasted sesame seed oil and cooked them on both sides. And then I cut them into short, thin strips like so. Once again, if you don't like egg, you could omit them from your recipe. Now let me check if our pan is hot. It feels like it's hot enough, so I'm going to add some corn oil to cover the bottom of the pan. let's cook the beef and the mushrooms. I like to cook the beef on one. Oh, hear that sizzle? It's so aromatic. That's going to be really good. Then I'm going to put the mushrooms on the other side. In case the vegetables cook faster than the meat, then I have an opportunity to take them out so the vegetables won't get soggy. If you have room in your fry pan, you could also add a cup of sliced onions, any kind of onions that you like. I have some yellow onions here. And I have matchstick size cut carrots. I got these from Catskey Farms, and I'm going to make a little space and put them next to the beef. All right. This is kind of like a deconstructed stir fry, if you will. We're cooking all the elements separately, and then we're going to combine them in the end. This way we can control when we remove them from the heat, so they stay tender but not get soggy. And also, we keep their distinct flavors. I've also blanched a cup of spinach. I took 8 ounces of spinach and I plunged them in boiling water until they're wilted. I drained them and rinsed them with cold water and squeezed the excess water out, because the last thing you do is want to make noodle soup. So I have them here, and I'm going to make a little spot and add the spinach to heat up and also absorb some of the flavors of the other ingredients. So that's looking pretty good. It's almost ready. And if you like, you could put a little bit of black ground pepper on top of the onions and the carrots. You could use any combination of meat and vegetables pretty much. Sometimes my kids just like to eat the noodles by itself with just the sauce because they're picky eaters. But I'm sure your family doesn't have any picky eaters. All right. So I have my noodles that we already sauced. Oh, I have my noodles. I forgot to put the sauce, so we'll put it down. It doesn't matter the order of when you sauce your noodles. And toss the noodles so that the sauce is all incorporated. And then we're going to take a platter and remove our vegetables and beef. While we remove the mushrooms, which cook first, we'll follow it up by the spinach, which is already cooked. And the carrots look done. And then we'll remove the onions. And we're almost there. We're going to remove the beef. If you don't have a large enough fry pan, you could cook these elements in batches. And also you could change the quantities as well. So I'm going to turn off my heat. And my meat is done. And now we're ready to combine all of our ingredients. So in my sauce noodles, I'm going to pour all of the ingredients we just cooked in the fry pan and toss. There we go. So you could use any implement you want. I wouldn't suggest using your hands. You might get burned. So after you toss all of these ingredients, I have a large platter that I'm going to now assemble the final dish. Let me get some of these dishes away. Here we go. So this is the finished dish. We're going to mound some of it on our platter. And we're going to garnish it, gild the lily a little bit, with some of our reserved ingredients. Here we have here we have egg strips. We should have incorporated them in the noodles. And we'll incorporate some here. And then we'll garnish with the rest. We're going to take scallions and also incorporate them in our dish and garnish. Okay. And finally, if you want, you could add some Korean red pepper threads that you could buy in the Korean grocery store, and they bring a mild heat. So I'm going to put some of that on. They're little threads, kind of like saffron in a way. And finally, some pine nuts to add a crunch and nuttiness to the dish. So, there you have it. Korean glass noodles. That's a healthy, gluten-free, one-dish meal that you could serve warm or at room temperature. As I like to always say, make something delicious today.